Ladies and gentlemen, that countdown. The countdown has begun, everyone. Welcome to the LZ. Welcome to the last 7 days before the day No Man's Sky Beyond, the bombs drop. And I'm super excited for all of us. It's going to be super good. Everyone, I've got an amazing show for you tonight. I know that we are in a bit of an information drought, but that doesn't mean that we don't have things to talk about here in the LZ and the No Man's Sky verse of things. So tonight, I want to go over a couple of items. I want to show you some awesome sexiness that I found today. I want to talk about an article that went up on VG247. That's an article that went up today with some, well, Twitter tells me it's questionable motives, and I don't fully disagree with the article or my followers. So I will explain that in detail and take the time to join in to the LZ and the conversation tonight. So if you're looking to get in to the conversation, please do so by following the description below, right? There's like a 3-step directions down there. Join the LZ Discord, jump into the waiting room, and we're looking to pull you in. However, tonight I have a special guest. I have a special guest for us that you may not have saw coming. And to be fair, about 12 hours ago, I would have told you that I didn't expect it either. But here in the LZ, we build bridges. Here in the LZ, we bring everybody in. You are a traveler. You are part of the discussion. You are part of the group. You are part of this madness that is waiting while Hello Games stirs the magic for whatever it is that they do. So with that said, if you would like to join the show tonight, we're going to get past some of the news. We'll get past a little bit of discussion at first. Also, if you're a member of the LZ on YouTube, you have preference. So if I know Mr. Ivy Mike has become an LZ member on YouTube. Thank you very much for helping to support the LZ. And of course, if you are a member, you get podcast priority to jump into the conversation if you so choose. But folks, we are 7 days away. Just under 8 days, right? Today marks the 8th day. And folks, that's like 6 sleeps. I mean, I can't even. It's so close. I'm so excited for every one of you. So today, without any further ado, let's get this conversation started. I want to bring our special guest in, and I want to start talking about No Man's Sky Beyond. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring on our good buddy, Bicycle Walrus from DM21 Gaming. Hello, everybody. Say hello to Mr. Walrus.
How you doing, Mr. Legacy Zero? It's my pleasure to be here.
Hang on, give me a moment. I'm going to make sure everybody give me a sound check on Mr. Walrus's volume. Make sure he sounds nice and crisp and beautiful.
Normally, I'm too loud.
Yeah, Normally, I can't. Normally, I'm shit at mixing audio.
Oh, okay. Let's just play it to each other's expectations then, shall we?
Right. How is it? Too loud, everybody? What do we think? Nope. He sounds stuffy. Do you have a cold?
No.
No? Audio is perfect?
No.
I'm hearing perfect. Okay. Well, I'll keep watching it. I'll keep watching it just to make sure. Sounds like it's coming out of a potato. Is the microphone across the room?
No, it's lapelled to my shirt.
It's lapelled to his shirt.
It's like right here.
And it is definitely not a potato, unless it was a French fry that he dropped on himself earlier. That happens too.
It could be possible. I had a French fry today.
I saw that. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good for you. So first things first, before we get started, I want to show you all something really cool that showed up in my Twitter feed today that I know that you'll all be excited for. I want you to get a look at this. I don't know what it is. Every week I get pictures of beefcake in my Twitter feed, and Mr. Stripes by NW here has sent me a picture of his excellent. I don't know. It's something I don't know. Is it the shirt? Is it the shirt that sort of rounds out the physique? And not only that, but in his tweet, he said that sorry that I didn't smile, and I for whatever reason thought about smoldering intensity with that face. So thank you so much for supporting the LZ by buying a T-shirt. It looks great. Also, twinsies, look at I'm wearing the same, so it's super awesome. Feels great. 100% cotton plus whatever else is in it. So I don't know what else is in it, honestly. I just thought it looked cool. But let's talk No Man's Sky with Mr. Bicycle Walrus, because sounds to me that you have been out of the game for a little bit.
Yeah. Since August.
Since a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a whole year.
Been one whole year.
And here's the thing. When we have podcasts on this channel, I'm not about echo chambers and talking about one thing, and it doesn't even have to be the full love of No Man's Sky. I think we all agree that we have a certain love for No Man's Sky. However, I think that there's room for criticism. And obviously, if you leave the game for a year... Now, for those of you that don't know, Bicycle Walrus and DM21 Gaming, he is a full-time streamer over on Mixer, mixer.com/DM21Gaming. And he does this stuff for a living. I, for one, don't have the patience to do a full-time stream. I wish I could. I wish I could have that kind of clout, right, where I could just do that and make money off of it. But it just, I don't know, I'm discouraged. But not only does he have a ton of other games, he's over the time he's played Anthem, and he's currently maining Final Fantasy 14.
You said mention Anthem, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm indifferent on Anthem just simply because I haven't played it. Right?
It's a fun game to play, but boy oh boy does it need help.
I feel like there's some similarities in maybe how they launched, and
it's funny. It's like every game I play these days, except for 14. But yeah.
Yeah. What, as far as a sort of a box
It's
launch?
like big promise, big nice looking trailers, and we get in, and it's something different than what we expected, and it's like, oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's happened. That is happening a lot lately.
Yeah.
I think Sean rubbed off on everybody. Especially since 3 years down the road, they're like, oh, well, I guess it's okay to sort of build this ship as it sails out of the harbor. So I didn't get to play it, which is why I try not to have opinions on things that I don't play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in that last year, there was a whole lot of not No Man's Sky. So I wanted to bring you on the show tonight. I thought it was a special and it was a good opportunity. And on these YouTube channels for No Man's Sky, you see an awful lot of praise and this sort of circular love for No Man's Sky, but certainly you must have some feedback, right? Or I want to get Bicycle Walrus's feelings on No Man's Sky as it stands now.
Look, let me just make it clear. I don't hate No Man's Sky. I like No Man's Sky. In fact, I would even say that I love the game. And the thing is that it's that love, and that's why I'm so critical. Because I felt like with Atlas Rises, we had a really cool, complete package, and I was really happy with it. I was playing Atlas Rises about a month and a half, 2 months before Next came out. We were all on board the hype train. We did the summon, the trailer. We did the whole thing, and it was fun, and I got in. And for the first week or so of No Man's Sky Next, I felt like it was a new package. But then there was problem. Technical problem after technical problem. Features that I used to enjoy from Atlas Rise stripped out of the game. Couldn't find it. The racetrack thing, which they were advertising and building up the tracks, pieces didn't fit together, and the components weren't even in the game. Couldn't even get them. And, you know, the underwater buildings with water inside, it never quite fixed itself. At least while I was still playing, and I waited until I think 3 patches later before I got so tired of the technical problems, the loading issues. It was heavily unoptimized, and I just felt like we had something really cool with Atlas Rises, and even though Next added some features, it broke a lot of the existing features. in many ways seems seemingly unplayable. And at the same time, the new objectives like the artifact hunts, things like that, that was I was really looking forward to, ended up being pretty much the same trivial thing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
The easy ways to make money, exploits, etc., greatly shrunk the universe. And I've never been a fan of how portals work. I don't like the Stargate concept, and then the fact that they were building their online experience pretty much around that concept, going through a portal somewhere. And those events, by the way, never happened before I stopped playing. I quit playing before that happened, and that was delayed, I think, for about a month. Those online events, and so it didn't feel like we were getting a lot of communication. We didn't really know what was going on. And one of the things leading into next that we were promised from Hello Games and Company was that they would be more transparent. They would tell us what they were working on when they were working on it.
It's true.
And it wouldn't be any of this lead up with absolutely no idea what's coming. And so I'm coming into Beyond. I wouldn't even say cautiously optimistic. I would say hopeful that it's what I want it to be, and I don't when I say what I want it to be, I don't want it to be something it ain't. But just a game that works, that has a reason to compel me to explore. I feel like an observer in No Man's Sky. I have well over 2,000 hours played. I stopped counting after a certain point, to be honest.
So Yalcha says, what Rawr said is exactly why my friends and I don't play regularly. No Man's Sky needs a lot more polish to existing features.
Yeah.
And I feel exactly like you do. As far as I think Next is a perfect jump off point from sort of my turbulent feelings at launch. Now, I full disclosure, I know, and I can say this all day, that in any given moment, usually there's only a dozen or two people working on this game at any moment. So I get it. I know this is tough. I mean, this is not Joe Danger. Not that I want to downplay how hard any one of those games were to make. But at the same time, like when Next launched, it seemed like every new feature that they put into the game that was verified, notably new and large and exciting, was broken for me. And some old bugs that were broken and fixed prior to Next were rebroken. Like all of my ships on my freighter would not show up, right? So it was about 2 weeks to 3 weeks before I could fully enjoy the game again. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why they sort of, why we've been agonizing for the last weeks, right? Waiting for the lead up, because, not only are they sort of retooling the sort of engine and the sort of API, right, with Vulkan and stuff like that. They're doing a whole lot of work. They're bringing out VR, which historically, if we're talking about some of the bugs that the games or updates have launched with, I fear for VR users in a way, right, if we're going by history. But even then, right, it maybe just spitballing here, perhaps that's why the agonizing wait is happening, right? Perhaps that's why it's taking so long to find out anything about this. What do you think about that?
It's just Hello Games as it's usual. Honestly, I wouldn't read in too much. This is how they do every major release. This is how it's always been. This is business as usual, which is actually giving me cause for concern. The big thing here, like maybe when Next released, they did sort of have a gun to their head because they were trying to get the game released with Next on Xbox. This time around, they don't have the proverbial gun to their head. They chose the release date, and there's no impetus to this launch. So if it launches buggy, and broken again, they have, I mean, honestly, they have no one to blame but themselves. And I can't imagine that the feedback of, hey, you know, the game's not working proper hasn't gotten to them. And they should know that that's a sticking point for some people. And particularly veterans of the game like myself, who had poured in over 2,000 hours into this game, for us to jump back into next and have some of our favorite existing features just broke entirely, and the features we're looking forward to in sort of a hybrid, half working, not working state. 2 years after its original launch, now we're at 3 years. I honestly don't have any real confidence going into this. And I mentioned on your Twitter, right now I'm just expecting to be disappointed. So that way when I'm not, and I'm hoping I'm not, like, I'm hopeful that it's great.
That's some reverse psychology there. Like,
I'm hopeful
you're mentally
that it's
conditioning
great,
yourself to be disappointed.
but I am ready to be disappointed. And if I'm not, then I will be incredibly happy. And I'm rooting for the game. I really am. I'm rooting for it. I want Hello Games to do well because they took a risk and they innovated in a space that desperately needed innovation. And it's something that I think what they do with technical procedural generation, what they do with procedural generation and all that,
or procedural
unmatched.
buggeration, as Ivy Mike said.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, Mike. That was
but
great.
you know, the thing is it's just that I, for one, for my own community, have rarely talked about No Man's Sky. You know, when there's an update, I say what it is, and that's that. I haven't had, this is the first long form discussion about the game that I've had in a year. And as you guys might know, I am streaming live on my own channel at the moment because I know a lot of my guys would like to have that conversation, so I'm having it. But the thing is that I don't want to hype something up again that I don't know what it is. And it feels too much like business as usual again. Now, some people, you guys are, you know, and more power to you. I don't criticize you in any way. I'm so glad that you love No Man's Sky as it is today, or as it was at launch of Next, and so on and so forth. Honestly, I don't fault you guys at all for loving and enjoying the game, and more power to you. But I just simply don't want to feed the hype machine and get involved in that again, because when I put my trust and faith into a company and I tell people it's okay to get excited and it's okay to you know, get in there, and then we get in there and it's, I'm sorry, but a mess. And it was. Not only does it hurt my credibility, which this game has hurt my credibility on multiple occasions, but I don't want to be part of why someone's hopes were up and then suddenly crashed and burned. So I'm going into this extremely cautious, but hopeful. Like, I really, I wish I could impress upon you guys. I really want this game to be freaking good. It's like Star Citizen is vaporware at this point.
Yes. I tell you, if any of you have ever said No Man's Sky is a scam and then said, I can't wait for Star Citizen, I think you need to get checked in.
I mean, like, let's just be real. Let's just be real. Star Citizen is vaporware at the moment. Maybe one day we might get it in 2038, March 13th. I've been calling it for years. So
feels
far,
like a good
haven't been wrong. Yeah, it might turn around 2038, you know. But No Man's Sky is like the closest to sort of this idea of a living, breathing universe, and it is strangely empty. And I feel like it should be up to the players to fill that world, and many of them have. But there's such a limited way we could do it. And so if there's anything that I'm looking forward to out of anything that we've heard of Beyond so far, is an expanded multiplayer system, an online system, and that is encouraging. And when I first heard the news, I almost was like, yeah, and then I'm like, well, hold on. And, a little bit later, they did kind of backtrack and say, well, now hold on, guys. It's an expanded multiplayer experience. It's not an MMO. And they started playing down expectations almost immediately.
I almost feel like it was the opposite on that, and I think over the last couple of weeks we had that conversation here on the show where
fill me in, because I've been out of the scene for a year. I have not touched the game for a year.
And and one of my viewers brought this up. That very sentence that you brought up there was maybe it's not so much that they're downplaying the aspect of what the multiplayer portion is, but trying to downplay the MMO monthly fee aspect of it. How does everybody feel about that? In the chat there, let us know. But I do want.
Many MMOs these days don't have any monthly fees. Most don't.
That's true. And then there's a lot of MMO likes, right? When I look at something like DayZ or what is that? What is that one? Arc, right? MMO likes, right? Versus something like.
I don't know how in the world they get MMO like from that. 75 players on a server. That's not massive multiplayer. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you think of something that is like a large world, lots of players, social aspect, right? And I'm not an MMO player, like, at all. And I think initially it was the fees that turned me off of it, but it's just, I mean, watching you play Final Fantasy XIV, it's just like, I struggle to try to get into a game like that, but an MMO or a shared universe like Destiny or Anthem or Division really interests me more, because I feel a little more engaged and a little less what is it, cluttered by menu ware and stuff like that, like all of the options and numbers and gauges. And maybe I've got a small mind when it comes to that stuff, which I owned. But I want to ask you this question, and I know I see a lot of people in the waiting room, the most I've ever seen, so I do want to get to every single one of you. I do want to pop Ivy Mike in here. He is a member of the LZ, so obviously he gets preference to the call and things like that as a reward. I want to ask you gentlemen this question. Since we're on the topic of the sort of last year of where No Man's Sky is, the state of No Man's Sky, since we know next to nothing about, I mean, and this is stupid of me. It took me until the last subcast with Cobra until I come to the realization, this is how dumb I am, okay? I just came to the realization that we know next to nothing about this update. We know next to nothing. We know that it's getting an online component, whatever that is. Radical, familiar stuff, right? And we know it's getting VR and that it has some building that looks like a hub or a freighter or whatever, right? What is it, knowing that we know so very, very little about this? What is crucial? What is crucial to No Man's Sky with this update that will make or break it for its future, and how long Hello Games wishes to sustain their development on this game?
Space whales.
I'm sorry?
Space whales.
Space whales?
Space whales.
Oh, man.
And believe it or not, I mean that in some seriousness. And look at the title, Beyond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It sounds like space to me. Like, I think the planets are in a pretty good spot, honestly. Despite all my criticisms, I think the planets are actually in a fairly good place. We work really hard to get your 48 slot, whatever, as class, and what do you do with it? Honestly, all I ever really needed was an A with decent slots, and I could pretty much play and explore and do the entire game without any issues. There's no real meaningful advantage to the progression in the game, because there is no objective-based gameplay. And one of the things I've been begging for since Pathfinder was an expanded space experience.
Do you feel like that's the most underdeveloped portion of the game so far?
Space? Yeah. 100%.
And I know that feels like a targeted question, very specific, and I only ask that because that seems to be a pretty big consensus in the community, is that space is underwhelmingly or just sort of underdevelopment as opposed to something like what we're looking on screen right now with Abyss, right? They took some time to pay attention to Abyss. They took some time to pay attention to.
And that's a beautiful image you have on your screen right now. And quite frankly, I haven't played Abyss.
That's right, Abyss or Visions.
I haven't. No, I don't even know what's in those patches, to be completely and totally honest with you guys.
You gotta get in there, Walrus.
I will when Beyond comes out. But, and I told everybody I'd play every major title expansion to the game, and was it Abyss and Visions? Was the other two? And so, because the thing is that I felt like if I didn't play No Man's Sky since the original release, next would have been amazing.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
And so if I just take a year off, and I did that. I took a full year off. There have been 2 minor expansions. Never gonna get the major expansion Beyond. I'm gonna come back in. And there's gonna be so much new stuff, and I didn't see it evolve, that I'm hoping it'll be a brand new experience for me. And I want to experience No Man's Sky as though it were new.
So Liberty says that Visions was a disappointment. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they kind of tried to bring colors back, and a lot of variation went with it. Good point. Continue. Sorry.
Sounds like Ivy Mike wants to say something.
Ivy.
No, yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, Visions, I think, had a lot of additions that were minor, but it did add to quite a bit of variety. I mean, how long were we saying did we want, something else besides whoopee plants? And we got
yeah.
I mean, and things like that. And there's little surprises there, and I won't ruin it for you, Walrus, but there are some little surprises that you rarely happen upon with Visions, and that is what I think we need more of. Things that are not in every system, things that are not in every planet, things that happen once every 30 hours, maybe. And just the way I play No Man's Sky, and I think a lot of people play it, is you go and it's a crappy day at work, and you need to escape somewhere else, and you go on an adventure, and you go and you find a cave, and I'm gonna go in that cave, I'm gonna fly my ship in it, I'm gonna land. Man, looked at that landscape, and appreciate the beauty of the procedural generation, and escape somewhere else. But to your point, having things to go after that no one else has seen before has always been what drove me back into the game. I want to see that Diplo that has cooler headdress than the last one, or and those are the types of things I'm really hoping for, as well as implementing that with online. Make it a mission, a group mission, to take a picture of a Diplo with a group. Now, how hard is that going to be? You got to go to hundreds of planets to find Diplos, or something that's going to be challenging and take time. I think is what the missions need to be. Right now, the missions are pretty cookie cutter. I mean, they are somewhat procedural, but an addition to the group missions is what I really want to see.
So a couple things. I want to say hi to Natalie.
Legacy.
Thanks, Natalie. I see you there. Peaceful Games in the
Oh,
chat.
hi.
Yaucha's here. I got a couple of followers on Mixer, too, by the way. This is being co-streamed on Mixer with DM21 Gaming at the current. So thank you, Sierradin, so much. And then I also saw somebody else, Cheyenne Blue, I think. I'm sorry about that. I read it wrong. My screen's way over there. Thank you so much for the follow-up, Mixer. Anyway, continue.
So that mysterious The Atlas account that's been shown up in my chat lately?
I wanted to bring that up, but I wasn't sure.
Well, just saying. They had the account kindly told us that No Man's Sky Online, quote, is about bringing the community together and will be shaped around the observations on the community. No, I don't know. I always take everything that the account says with a grain of salt.
I was going to say, I wasn't sure how serious that account was. So
I don't know either. But the thing is, it's an account that's been showing up in my chat ever since Waking Titan. It shows up during every major release of.
So not randomly
No Man's
any other
Sky.
time.
No, only during major releases, and at times the account has spoken with a sense of ownership of the product.
Okay.
So I don't know what to make of it, but I
Interesting.
did want to add that was said in my chat, that the Atlas said No Man's Sky Online is about bringing the community together and will be shaped around the observations on the community.
So to recap, your channel has an account called The Atlas that likes to check in when new updates are on the horizon. And, I mean, I did find that to be weird.
I've always found it weird, but at the same time, I've always enjoyed it. I've always liked them coming by, and it's always fun reading what they have to add. So, I don't know. It made a mysterious appearance during the Waking Titan 80-hour live stream with the mouse maze, or the hamster maze, and then and it shows up with every major release around that time.
That was a pretty significant role during Waking Titan. I do not have the endurance for an 80-hour stream.
I was up through most of it.
I can't make it an entire morning tonight without at some point going, yeah, I should probably sleep before I become a massive bear in the morning. So Arg says, I miss Waking Titan. Yeah, I think a lot of us are starting to miss Waking Titan now that they sort of shifted gears back to the old structure of quiet time.
Am I the only one who's happy there's no Waking Titan, even though I loved it?
I made a feature on that too. But it was a feature that I'm with you there but then again, this was made under the premise that they were going to be talking more regularly and doing more regular updates. And during that quiet time, it was about February to May, I did a series of critical analysis on No Man's Sky, which surprisingly got really good feedback. And the No Man's Sky community, and I think everybody here on this call knows this for sure. They can be like a pool of piranha when it comes to defending the game, right?
That sounds negative, LZ.
Yeah. I don't want to be negative. I don't. Please don't do that. No, but in general, we're pretty passionate about this game, right? We're pretty passionate that the record is straight. And that, but to be fair, I am surprised that the critical analysis videos, the No Man's Sky has a gameplay problem, No Man's Sky has an exploration problem, things like that, was met with some pretty good feedback, right? So it's nice that we have that criticism, I think.
I mean, part of loving something is being able to add constructive criticism. And that's the thing is there were a lot of things that I did take issue with, and I certainly criticized No Man's Sky Next about. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean I don't love the game, or I don't love the concept of the game. I'm looking forward to my return on August 14th. But the thing is that I've always long said that your true friends will always be willing to tell you when you fucked up. Sorry, is that language?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Yeah. They're always, your friends are always willing to come to you and say, "Hey, man, you all right? There's something ain't all right." Mm-hmm. It's the people who, you either blindly hate it, blindly love it, or somewhere in between. I suppose rarely. And I don't know. I want to call love for the game or admiration for the game blind. That's not what I mean to say. But it at the same time, I think that if you really care for the vision that of what Sean Murray kind of talked about prior to the release of No Man's Sky. And I know a lot of people say, well, they've achieved that vision. I don't think so. And I think maybe I became so enamored by the vision as described by Sean Murray. Mm-hmm. Is it possible No Man's Sky could ever achieve it? And, he talked about the idea of faction warfare and territory. He said, during his E3 presentation, here we are, at the border between these two factions, these two warring factions, and you can pick a side and you can jump in and join one another or and alter the outcome. Where is that still? Mm-hmm. Because the thing is that No Man's Sky is largely experienced by observation. and as Ivy Mike says, he wants to see different varieties of Diplos, as an example. As much as I enjoy the variety of creatures, and I'm really excited about that, I kind of want to do more than look.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was my criticism when I did, particularly the exploration piece, right? And I generally don't play No Man's Sky with other people. I don't feel like there's reason to, right? As much as I would love to. And I think that has always been the piece for me in my critical analysis of the game, was that for every foundational thing that No Man's Sky has as a feature, whether it be planets, exploration, space, dogfighting, it always seems to be missing the end piece, right? Which is the carrot at the end of the stick that you're chasing after, right? I'd love to go exploring. What am I looking for? Right? Am I going to just look at the sites? Because to me, as an explorer, I want to explore for tangible things, right? What's the treasure? What's the loot? What's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Not just here's this picture that I took with the share button and shared to Twitter. And that was, and I completely respect the folks that play the game just to simply check in the sites and look at these new planets and share these things. Because I tell you what, man, there are some fire picture takers in this community for sure. I see a lot of my feed where it's just like, I don't know how you captured that shot when I got to do like 3 button presses to bring up the actual picture mode, but good on you.
True artists, these people.
The tourists, yeah, they're really good at it. They
true
get those
artists.
Yeah, they're true artists. They get these action shots, right? And
they're fantastic shots. Absolutely.
The fantastic artistic shots. And that was always my thing, right? I did get criticized a little bit as far as asking for a loot mechanic, which to me, I would argue is already in the game. I just don't think it's fully realized and organized enough to use to its strengths, like a lot of loot-based games would. But I think the game could, that would be just one simple thing that I think that would drive the moment-to-moment gameplay and the moment-to-moment experience, exploration, combat, PvE, for instance, right? Which is something that I fully expect No Man's Sky Online to implement something to that degree. And I wanted to bring up that point again that you'd mentioned earlier. And stupid me, I didn't think about this until today, but one of my followers on Twitter had mentioned in conversation, I forget which, they had talked about that maybe that phrase, bringing people together, crossplay. What do we think that it is? Could they be hinting in a way at crossplay with the popularity, of crossplay growing in popularity, growing in strength? Sony is finally coming around, I guess, on the whole crossplay thing.
I think that it's definitely possible, but it with some caveats. I mean, they've said pretty clearly, and to some degree, that we're going to be able to explore our existing bases in VR. Sean Murray said something along those lines. So if they do implement in the online mode crossplay, it's my thinking then that would be a new game mode. That No Man's Sky Online is going to be another game mode that is crossplay, but you all have to start fresh.
That's the only way I would expect crossplay to happen. Is if online mode is a separate mode where your character files are stored on another server and not locally, so as not to be manipulated through file tampering and the like. I would not want crossplay unless character data was stored on a separate server and not locally.
You mean like a sort of a shared, dedicated universe server side for them?
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's fair.
So I mean, like and that's the only way. If they don't have the separate mode, we can't have crossplay in my mind.
What would be the benefits of that, though, as far as the server side versus local?
The big thing, like I said before, is there's people who edit and tamper their files to put them from one place in the universe to another.
Oh, and PC, yeah.
Yeah, on PC.
That's true.
That doesn't happen on console. No one does that on console. You can't. It's your typical TOS stuff that you get with online games. Whether it's, don't hack, don't mod. Now, I like mods for single player experiences, and I definitely don't want that community to go to the wayside. It's a very good and strong and popular and worthwhile community for PC. Especially to be shared, in my opinion, for single player purposes. But if we're talking about forming online communities, what are we forming these online communities around? What are we doing with these online communities? Like, I want to start like an actual trade corporation, and we, like what Ivy Mike was talking about, where there's truly unique things out there in the world that you can go and find. And I've long talked about the idea of finding alien schematics for shipbuilding, customized shipbuilding, and you can find these really rare schematics, and you can manufacture these, but it's just one part of the ship. And so you have to go out and find others, and it's going to be really difficult for one player to find them all. And so you end up working together to build these really, really cool ships out of a player-owned space station, perhaps.
Building ships. That makes my toes curl just thinking about that.
That's what I'm talking about. Give me a reason to want to play the trader, and that player interactivity that just simply doesn't exist right now. Like, I know people are like, well, you're talking about Eve, or you're talking about Star Citizen. No, I'm talking about objective-based gameplay in which it would take a community to truly see realized.
All they really have to do with even existing game features. So take the buried treasure, ruins. Right now, you go to a ruin, it tells you to go to another ruin. It's probably in the same system, and you go and you find it, and you dig up the stuff, and you have the treasure. What if you went to a ruin and it pointed you to the one that's 40 jumps away, and that's the only one in that quadrant of space, and so now it's 40 jumps. It's a thing to get there.
You gotta go.
That's what they should take what they already have, make it more scarce, make it a thing in an adventure, instead of I did it once in this system, and if I go to the next system, it's gonna be pretty much the same thing. I want those, like, it's going to take me a few hours, really get in.
Ian, I read your comment. It says they need to burf the scanner and visor, and I was like, do you mean nerf or buff?
Nerf. But what Kirk is saying, ARG style hunts, but in game. And
Thank you.
That sense of mystery and that sense of going out and finding something that is truly hard to find, not just, okay, I buried treasure, yay, and we get these keys and we open the chest, and it's like, oh, okay, now once you open one or two, you kind of get it, and it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like you're exploring. You go through the motions of it, but then you realize just how repetitive it is, and that's actually somehow the moral of the No Man's Sky story. Is you're in a simulation, it's a simulated world, and you begin to see these patterns forming, and sort of the imperfect, non-infinite, very finite world of activity you can do in such a place. You feel limited and somewhat hopeless, because you can guess. And after you do a couple of these, you don't even need to I forget how you did it, because it was a year ago for me, but you don't even need to use the tools to discover where the treasure is. You just dig where it is, because you know where it is, because you did it 15 times already. And it just sort of saps the mystery out of it. Like the first time you run into the insect creatures, again, it's been a year. Sorry, I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
The first time you run into it, it's amazing. It's a really cool experience. But then you run into them again and again and again, and the experience is pretty much exactly the same. And now you know what to expect. And it's obviously it's difficult to add different creature behavior types and a lot of variety. But the thing is that that's what's lacking. The first time you experience it, it's awesome. After that, it's It's okay. It's this again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, even if they did it just and utilized survival mode more so, I feel like there's people that play normal mode, and then there's the people that play permadeath, and then survival mode. You know, after Atlas Rises, kind of became irrelevant because it's not as challenge. It's really just the same as normal mode, just a little bit tougher if you die. You lose your stuff, and that's really the only difference now. I don't think that there's that much more difficulty. The resources aren't more rare like they used to be in Pathfinder and
Well, would they nerf survival?
I feel like they did. I feel like that survival is not as difficult as it used to be when when Foundations first came out and survival mode before permadeath. It was tough. There was a 35-minute walk to your ship in survival mode.
Yeah, there's definitely a point
Now,
where it becomes cruise control too, right? Like when you sort of get it, that there's such a diminished danger about it once you sort of get the hang of it. Even in permadeath, right? It feels like at some point when you moderately sort of get your strength and your upgrades about you and things like that, that it just sort of becomes a coast, right? Unless you die by accident, which, I certainly have. I have definitely close quarters exploded myself with a plasma grenade, but that one was not on camera, thankfully. But I do, and here's the thing. I want to bring this point up to you, and I think we sort of grazed by it earlier. If we were to do something like shipbuilding, and I have been ever the proponent to this, typically some of the pushback, actually quite a bit of the pushback that I get to that idea is that it would render the RNG, the sort of randomness about how things work in No Man's Sky, it would render it sort of useless. Do we agree with that?
Not if they keep it the way it is and add building, because then you could build it if you want, or go find it if you want the way you do now. It would just add it for the people that want to do it that way. And the ship hunters, there's a lot of great ship. I know Sword loves ship hunting. It's one of the things he loves to do, and he does it a lot, and he's great at it. And he's with and that doesn't have to change. He can still do it that way. If they do add modification, let people modify as well.
Mm-hmm. Bicycle Walrus, did I hear you say good?
Yeah, good. Look.
We agree, Al.
the way I would design it, it would require some of that procedural generation, going out, having to find the schematics, and the way I envision it is that the really good ones, the best ones, are very rare, and you would have to work with other players to assemble a full ship that's made with all of that. Like, this isn't some low-hanging fruit that's easy to come by. It is gamified to be simple. This is something I would expect to take a very long time to do, considerable amount of resources and teamwork.
And then even then, shipbuilding could be complemented by the RNG, right? I mean, you find this ship that doesn't have, or you have this, you find this ship in the middle of nowhere that has that one part you're looking for. Buy that bastard up and disassemble it, right? It's yours.
But here's the thing. Yeah, what if I don't want to go through that? I want the biggest, baddest ship, but I don't want to go through that, right?
Sure. Maybe I want to buy it.
Buy it.
Right. Yeah.
Buy it from the player.
Mm-hmm.
And because some people, that I don't want to. Are you kidding me? The way that people go ship hunting now is what do? Load previous save. Load previous save. Load previous save. Load previous save.
I'm guilty. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had to do it, and I hate doing it. It's manipulating a game system in order to get in-game rewards. To me, that's cheating. I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but that's how I see it, and I respect your opinion.
It's definitely monotonous.
That's mine. Yeah, and that's my opinion. And the thing is that RNG sort of thing, no one likes progression through RNG. When I say I'm going to go off and I want to do this, I want to see a checklist. And I can see that I am progressing through this checklist, and I'm doing, and I'm getting closer to my goal. But when it comes down to RNG, it's I would have this. I've been spending the last 24 hours. Bob over there only did it 30 minutes, and he got his. Now you have a sort of a feeling of unfairness. You have the feeling of being unlucky. You have the feeling of helplessness. And those are not good or fun game systems. And that is that's where a lot of that trouble kind of comes into play. Those people are used to playing on PC. Oh, I know I can find a 48 slot this class fighter over here. Let me just change my log file or go take the portal address and go fly over there and whatnot. It's really fast and easy to reload saves and things because you're running on a PC and not a console. People on console, they're unable to load it quickly. They're not able to change their files. They're not able to do these things. And so, it kind of creates an equitable play experience depending on what platform you play on. There's a lot of game design notes to take from this and say, yes, these are areas that need to be improved upon. And progression through RNG, that's what got Star Wars that Star Wars game, Battlefront 2, into a lot of trouble. That they RNG'd their progression system entirely through loot boxes. And you could buy the loot boxes, yay, but let's get real here. It was all RNG based, and people revolted from that game, and for good reason,
But reloading is a player choice. I'm not a reloader. Any AST class I've ever had is just as I happened upon it. And that's something that's just the way I choose to play. I have nothing against the people that choose to reload, but I've chosen to play the game. I'm 2,000 hours in the game, and I've chosen.
Damn,
not to
I thought I was in it.
So, well, it's since launch. It's been. There were some long sad times there.
Yeah, I should probably have over 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,500 here.
And
I'm a creator for the game too, just like you. Yeah.
Response to Peaceful Gamer, he says, who cares about this hot ships? You want to sit there for 2 months? Go ahead. Like I said, I reloaded 6. I've done that. I've been there, done that.
I don't know that in my experience, it's never
so much a problem in a single player game, by the way. It's not.
In my experience, I don't think it's ever worked that way. I feel like once. Especially like on a space station, or not a space station, a trading post on a planet's surface, it feels like sort of your initial ships come in and then the RNG just sort of poops out and gives up, which almost feels like you have to reload your save because like at some point there's just no more ships coming in, where at least when you reload, here come the ships, right? And you're like, okay, maybe I'll find the Cracker Jacks prize at the Cracker Jacks box, right? And so I'm with you on the RNG piece. I don't want to.
The thing that by the way, just to make sure it's clear, for a single player game, this is, I guess, I don't care how you get your ships. I honestly don't. If they expand multiplayer and if they add any type of competitive multiplayer experience, then I absolutely do care.
That might change things a bit, yeah.
Yeah, that changes things considerably.
And I know you had said that you were here till 9, right? Like a hard 9, right? You had a raid or something you were looking to get to, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I got a raid to go to in about 30 minutes.
Oh, in 30 minutes. Okay, cool.
Well, yeah, I got to prep for it though.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you brought that up, and this was the next sort of topic that I wanted to break into. Since Atlas Rises. It is pretty evident that the size of the galaxies has sort of shrunk with the use of portals and spawning on other people. Knowing that No Man's Sky Online is on the horizon, right? And it is radical, finger quotes. It is with familiar features that we all know, finger quotes. There's a lot of familiarity with multiplayer, anywhere between Battle Royale and loot mechanics with Destiny 2 and shared universes, right? It's hard to say. But what could that do, knowing that, and I know the community is hugely split on this, as far as should you have to be obligated to travel across the galaxy, or is it okay that now you can just warp? Are we okay with the limitations that sort of the portal failures or boundary, I forget what they're called, that doesn't really make it easy for you to just sort of relocate across the galaxy? What does No Man's Sky Online have to do to make that right while still facilitating, knowing that we don't really know what it is, to facilitate a better union of the player base? I mean, aside from crossplay, which we already talked about, but what does it have to do to make that better while still granting the feeling of the size and scale of the Euclid galaxy and the galaxies after.
Just start everyone in the same place, and keep everything the same. Just start everyone, maybe in one of 4 places or something in the galaxy.
That's
So
interesting.
then, people, instead of everyone trying to get to each other, everyone's trying to get the hell away from each other. And
Good point. That you might be onto something there. That's actually.
I mean, to be fair, that's probably one of the best ideas I think I've ever heard.
That's maybe not bad.
No, actually, that actually seems to work. Common starting areas, and so that way you're encouraged to spread out and to explore, as opposed to encouraged to condense.
Wouldn't that be weird if they just started everybody at the center? And that's what that building is. It's just this hub at the center of the galaxy, and they're just like, "Go forth, young ones, and explore and find your meaning, whatever."
Yeah. The thing is like, that's a really good idea. I mean, Mike, I actually really dig it, and if they can pull that off, that'd be great. Honestly, I'm all for it.
You thought that through, right? Ivy Mike
that
is
was actually probably the best answer I could imagine for that question.
He's 2 for 2 on good ideas. The other day,
good. I had never thought of that actually.
It was last Tuesday or Tuesday before last where he come up with the idea that Component 3 they shouldn't even say what it is. Just say that it's out there. Like, Component 3 is mystery and exploration.
No one's paying for the updates, so they could get away with it. When Next came out as an example, I said, no, you are asking people to pay for it because you're releasing on a brand new platform. You need to tell people what's in the package.
Like the Nintendo Switch.
That's not happening. Anyway, so the just like E3 didn't happen. Calm down. So the
shade. I own it.
Yeah, that's all right. I had fun tweeting at you that day.
God damn it.
Anyways, but the thing is I like the original concept for the portals, as talked about before release. And before release, they said that the closer you get to the center, and Jay Strawn in my chat, who's watching and listening right now, mentioned it too, that when you get closer to the center, things are supposed to get weirder. You're supposed to find more exotic stuff, better resources to help you get closer and closer to the center, because things get harder the closer to the center you get. And then there's supposed to be this. Yes,
I need that.
I want that back, and I want portals to work the way they were originally supposed to work, which was you go through a portal, it's a one-way, you can't stay there, you come back, you don't get to pick where you go through, you're somewhere closer to the center, it's weirder, it's stranger, and you have access to resources that you would not otherwise have access to in your current sector of space. But you can't take off and fly or any of that. You're on the planet, and you're finding these resources that are out of reach for you at the moment.
That's a good point, yeah.
And I want that back, because the whole point about space in my mind is this idea of the unknown. A lot of people use portals to go to what is known. Oh, someone found this there. Oh, what's the portal address?
Yeah, Southern Card says, yes, give me those portals. I think even regardless of the portals, just the concept of having things get harder or weirder as you get closer to the center, that was like my favorite pitch from back in the day. What's up, Liberty Geeks?
Absolutely.
But to be honest, at this point, I mean, we have to be honest that it didn't end up that way, and I don't think that it's going to go back to that way.
Those days are gone. Yeah.
Sad.
That's a sad ass. Why are you a downer? I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad that it's perspective is definitely necessary, right? Because I mean, when we're looking forward to Beyond, No Man's Sky is not the game, not even close now to what it is we envisioned 5 years ago, right? It's wildly different.
Yeah, it is. And in many ways, it's better than what was envisioned, and in many ways, it's an improvement upon the original vision. However, there are certain key aspects of that original vision that are strangely still missing. And,
structures.
we're discussing a few of these right now. And like I think one of the biggest selling points was that things got weirder the closer you got to the center. Things got harder the closer you got to the center. I like the idea of viewing No Man's Sky as a survival-esque experience, and that's why I play on survival mode. That's why I played in permadeath mode. That's why I got to the center in permadeath mode. That's how much I love this game. I've done those things.
Yeah.
One of the few who have.
And survival and permadeath to me were the only ways to play, really, because at least it made me feel like there was risk on a constant basis.
Well, I froze to death, and you look from my frozen body.
Yeah, I never found it.
Yeah, no, that's
out
big
there.
universe. Yeah.
It's out there. And I see, and here, and Ghaffari brings up a good point too. You say that there is a few items, significant items that still aren't in the game. But when we look at things like sandworms, there are things that just didn't make the cut. Sean Maria said that sandworms just weren't fun. They weren't.
I'm pretty sure he said something along the lines of the giant snake was frustrating and unfun due to its size, so it's taken out. Funny thing, that's what the Atlas just said in my chat.
Nice.
Maybe it was not fun to code.
I bet you it was a glitchy pain in the ass, honestly.
I mean, like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I found it. It's fun. It killed me a few times. I mean, like, but it's there.
Right. Make it just come out of the ground straight up or something like Star Wars.
It exists.
Yeah.
And the thing is I actually think the frustrating part is in the coding. Because you have this worm that could appear on these procedurally generated worlds, and I don't think any of us have any semblance of or any crazy idea just how difficult it is to populate these procedurally generated worlds with creatures that can interact with said world, and the way that sandworm did in that particular trailer, or shot of the trailer, and we know that at one point it was in the game, and they talked about it at length. And it was pulled, but honestly, I mean, I'm just gonna be real. If I ran into a giant sandworm in real life, I'm pretty sure I'd be quite frustrated and upset when it killed me.
Probably.
Because it's an incredibly powerful creature.
If that's how you can feel after death.
Yeah, exactly. and to me, it's the experience of that. It was like, man, that was so cool. I'm not going back there again. But damn, that was so cool, you know? I mean, like, the first time you died to those, again, I forget what they're called, those insect creatures, it's been a year, you know, I came out of it feeling like, man, that sucks I died, but damn, that was cool, man. You know, like, that's fun. That's what made it fun.
I died in a horrible manner. Yeah, that is definitely fun.
People play horror games for reasons, man.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a good point. That's a good starting off point. I want to get one more in here before we start to sort of drift topics here. This is great on what our expectations are, and I kind of want to get a little more fun conversation. I'm going to bring Vargul in. Great always to have them on there. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you, Liberty Geeks, for pushing that out there. Since we know very little about this update, and I know we are all very super painfully anxious to find out more, the LZ is a great place to come to get that, sort of exert that frustration, right, as we wait. So I want to give us all a chance to, both on the call and in the chat, I want to start talking about your wish lists, right? What is it that you want for No Man's Sky Beyond? This is fair game, I feel like, because we know like next to nothing about it, right? We know it's got a nice new functionality in VR, and we know that online is coming. But what else is crucial that you want for No Man's Sky that will change the game for you and beyond?
For me specifically?
Everybody. Bring it on.
I have quite a big list, man.
I got three things.
Give me the big one.
These are the three things that the Atlas told me.
Uh-oh, the Atlas is coming back in conversation.
The Atlas told me planet rotation, space whales, and player-owned stations.
Okay.
That's what the Atlas said. In
Give
the
it.
chat.
The Atlas is
No, what
bleeding
would be
over into
funny-
YouTube.
What would be funny is that if that was true.
That would be funny actually. I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna. It looks like my chat died. Y'all continue your discussion while I try to fix that.
Well, I don't know, man. A lot of the stuff that I want is kind of relevant to each other. I would love to see player progression. I would love to see more points of interest. I would love to see loot. I would love to see player economy. I would love to see guild management systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I would
These are all good.
I would love to see richer, more deep base building complexity. You know, where we're defending our outposts, we're defending our bases. I'd like to see the area limit expanded upon to where players can build next to each other and actually grow a thriving city. That would be all really cool. I think, just my opinion.
So cities, huh? Yeah, we're back to that one. Yeah, and I
No.
talked about.
There's a difference between player-made cities and procedural cities.
Fair enough.
I'm all down for player-made cities, and I really like pretty much the entire list our goals just went through.
Mm-hmm. Southern Cards has lots of optimization. Daniel Becker says, I would like to have NPC companions. Andrew says Gekweed. I think we had Nip
We
Nip
have
for a while.
Gekweed. I used to farm Geknip.
Yeah, then they nerfed it.
Hey, you know, LZ, I was actually excited to come on the call tonight because I wanted to talk to you about the trailer a little bit, the teaser that we got.
That is definitely a subject too. We'll cover that because I know folks like Cobra and MZK and all those folks. They definitely win it, but I don't want to not talk about it. Definitely, for sure. Andrew says strip clubs with geckos.
Whoa! We don't need no geckos.
I know L Plays would be happy for that one. Shout out to L Plays.
I definitely would like to see some type of in-game events. We have all these planets that have changed in the storyline with the boundary failures and more anomalous planets. With when Visions launched, and there's a lore and there's a reason why these things are becoming. Imagine if you're on a beautiful planet, and all of a sudden there's an event, and that planet becomes anomalous while you're on it, and like things happen, things change. Things morph in real time in front of your eyes. That type of immersion would be incredible.
No, and BW on the call here actually missed out on the previous endgame events that came just shortly after Next launched, right? This was after Visions too, wasn't it? Or
did they keep that up, or did they stop doing it?
They didn't keep it up. It felt like a seasonal thing. I think it was only supposed to last for like 6 to 8 weeks, and honestly, they were okay, but really it was just, hey, here's this planet that you can all go to. You can all do this task together, build up this sort of bar of progress collectively. And it just wasn't, there wasn't a whole lot of like engagement. Like when I think of like an in-game event or something, I think of more like, and this is going to make you cringe a little bit, but I think about like Fortnite, right? I hate Fortnite with an absolute passion, but one thing that we all have to give it credit for is how amazing its sort of viral in-game campaigns are when it sort of switches things up a bit or it adds new things.
Yeah, the meteor that slowly got closer and closer and
the
closer,
big purple
then it finally
cube.
hit. Yeah.
And people we have 100 people on a server that stop killing each other for a moment to just witness what's happening. Like that's power that is so organic and so emergent that it's almost like they didn't even try to do it that way. It just sort of happened and it became a thing. I almost want No Man's Sky to do sort of bite-sized events like that where it says, hey, travelers, there's this weird thing happening on this planet out in the middle of nowhere. It's putting off a lot of energy. Thanos used the Snones again. I don't know, like something like that, right? I think that's a lovely idea. I've been calling for that ever since Visions, for sure. Better.
Well, and this might be an unpopular idea, but I think the community events could come back. I don't know that they will. I almost speculated that the community events was more like a test. It was a test to see how well players responded to trying to achieve a group activity together, and I think it was a test to see how the circulation of Quicksilver was going to be was going to come into play.
The Quicksilver economy.
Yeah. So, but
Silver.
the thing is that with multiplayer online coming to No Man's Sky, I wouldn't be surprised that wasn't their initial thought. Was we need to come up with a way that we can engage the community to do group questing. If they're going to be playing online, let's test these events to see how well it's received.
So they've been beta testing before even the beta, right? Or whatever that was. Like, fair enough. That's a good point, that maybe that was just sort of their dipping their toes into the online environment. Because, I mean, you could have up to 16 people on, or entities or whichever, on a planet at a time. Of course, all of them were orbs. But again, they're all scan these things together, and then cool, we did it. Good, congrats. Unceremonious end to.
I think it definitely stretched their servers a little bit. I mean, when you go to those planets, there's 40 bases, on one of those planets, or 4 billion comm balls, which the comm balls was too much.
For sure,
that definitely though was pushing the limits of their servers. As that wasn't just 16, that was as many as people wanted to put down there. And as long as they uploaded it, they showed up, or should have showed up. So it definitely should have been a stress test on their end.
What do you think, BW? What's yours? I mean, aside from the Atlas throwing stuff in your ear there, what's
the
Atlas
Atlas also threw guilds and RPG components.
RPG and guild components. You know what? I don't call me weird, but I don't think I have seen anybody suggest RPG components. Let's pull on that.
Well, what do you think RPG components means?
I think RPG components.
How would you define that?
I think.
Because there's a lot to an RPG.
So
I think it had a lot. I think it had a lot to do with the list that I listed, but I think it also had a lot. It has a lot to do with quest and story arcs.
What about skills, level ups?
Definitely. So that's kind of where I was going. Right? Right. We've been talking about this for years. BW and I is sort of the sort of missing progression. Or at least the direct progression in No Man's Sky. Right?
I felt that Next did progression the best, but it was still missing or lacking something.
It's definitely missing tangibility to it, right? So,
yes.
Like, I have this multi-tool, right? And of course I can give some upgrades to it, but really, for upgrades, I don't know. I'm thinking more like proficiencies, right? Something that if I'm using it for an amount of time, right, it becomes better at doing this, or becomes better at doing that. Or if I sprint and do this for a long time, maybe I get winded less often. Or something that I can see bars and gauges for numbers popping up on the screen, which the game currently has, right, especially when dealing damage to something.
It allows.
It does that with upgrades, though. I mean, it's just that the upgrades get, after you have one or two upgrades, the rest are just nice to have. So they're not essential.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But you need something in the game that allows you to make your character feel more substantial and unique versus everybody else.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was thinking is that aside from upgrades, a multi-tool, no matter what it is that you add to it, it does not, and this is not just for multi-tools, this is for your ship, this is for your suit or your pack, right? There's no way to make those individual or unique, separate from themselves, other than just the way they look, right? Now, of course, there's the slots that kind of sort of dictates its limits, but I mean, it's easy to go on Reddit, find a location, and go and grab a S-Class multi-tool with all the slots and stuff like that, right? So, I mean, that's definitely something, but that requires very little work. Maybe a little more time, but very little work to do versus when we're thinking progression. I mean, when I think RPGs, I think progression, definitely. I think risk versus reward. I think when I'm playing something like Final Fantasy 12, right, and I'm sort of wandering the world, and there's monsters that you just shouldn't mess with. They may not mess with you. They might, but there's this sort of chaff walking around the field. Go and kill him, knock him out, get your rewards. But if you see this monster with the green health bar, maybe you don't want to touch it because it will one hit you, right?
See, we have that in foundations when in survival mode. If you were in survival mode and you went to a planet that had T-Rexes, if you messed with those T-Rexes, you were dead. You know what I mean?
I've had a couple moments.
I think they just need
yeah.
Yeah.
That thing hit me, and yes, I will die if I'm just one more blow lands. Yep, I remember that. That's true. Good point.
But combat in the game feels a little lackluster too.
How do we think that's going to play out for No Man's Sky Beyond? Like, as far as online goes, I mean, do you think there's room for some kind of combat aspect? Because, I mean, there's combat, but more so ship to ship, right? Dogfighting to a degree. There's very little on-foot combat unless you're, I mean, even the Sentinel combat is a little basic, right? If I'm being objective.
Well, I'm okay with combat just strictly being a first-person shooter if that's what they want to, stick with. Maybe some proficiencies like we were discussing with player progression and leveling up and whatnot. But I mean, we make fun of enemies that are just bullet sponges, but really, they become a threat if they don't go down real fast.
They could,
Like
especially if they're big
Zero?
and coming after you.
Yeah, but once you have like 2 shield upgrades, then it takes like 40 hits for them to kill you. So it's there's no harder bosses once you get upgraded. So that's what we need. They need a way to progress the level of and difficulty. And to your point, mate, some planets have Sentinel planets where the walkers are rampant. And they're just walking around, and you don't go there if you're a new player.
I know they exist, but one more. Real quick, if I may, I do have to go. I have a hard cutoff.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And the thing is, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what it is. And it launches a week from tomorrow, so maybe
1 week, baby.
Tomorrow, maybe.
I think
Maybe.
I think because here's the thing: the 9th is the anniversary, right? For at least next, or no, August 9th was the original, wasn't it?
It was the original launch.
The original
August
launch
9th.
anniversary.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that very, very likely. I don't have any authority to go by on this, by the way, but if I were Sean, I would drop that trailer on Friday, let us marinate in it over the weekend, and then drop patch notes Monday, Tuesday, in time for launch on Wednesday. What do you think? How do we feel? Does that feel realistic?
That sounds about right. It'll be tomorrow, Friday, or Monday.
But it's going to be random for sure. Like, and Sean's done that before. I was just like, whoop, here's the trailer. And we're just like, fuck.
Yeah. No, the next trailer was great. And I am looking forward to it. And it's going to be one of those things. We'll see when we get there. A few ideas from my chat that kind of came up.
Let's hear them,
The
yeah.
ability to add ship slots to your existing ships would be desired.
So ship slot
faction
expansion,
conflict.
okay.
No Man's Sky needs faction conflict. I tend to agree. I think a lot of people seem to agree with that. I do want to differentiate the difference between factions and racial factions. I've always thought factions to be a collection of different species, not necessarily always just core
That's your
vaccine.
group, right? That's your gang.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like it to be a bit more involved in that because it's a giant universe, and we find people from all over that universe together. It would seem to me that factions and interstellar governments would form, and I would imagine that they wouldn't just be entirely racially based. I would like to see some flexibility in that. Someone mentioned skills. And the interesting thing is that shortly after someone said No Man's Sky needs faction conflict, the Atlas replied, yes.
That's it?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, take that with a grain of salt because they could have been referring to something we were saying. But it was interesting timing.
Good. Just
it
the
was
tip,
interesting
right?
timing. Yeah, you know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for again having me. I appreciate it.
Everybody, DM21 Gaming and Bicycle Walrus on the show. So that's mixer.com/DM21 Gaming. Do go check him out. Playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 right now if you're into such a thing. And then, of course, probably look for more coverage from that channel too, as well as the entire No Man's Sky creatorverse. When it comes to YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, it's going to be heated. Because online, right? I'm hoping that I can push all of my chips into No Man's Sky Beyond being my next favorite thing about it. Because I'm excited. I'm excited to finally play with people. And have a reason to do that. So thank you.
I'm hoping for that too.
Thank you for stopping
one
by the
last
show.
thing.
Yes, sir.
One more last thing from my chat. Strike177 says, No Man's Sky needs to take a page out of Satisfactory's book. And I talked about automated factories in No Man's Sky before Satisfactory was even a thing. You've seen me play Satisfactory.
I have. I kind of don't want to have to
It's
worry about managing my base and the growth of stuff. Yes, I would like if
it's
I
all
have
about automation. Yeah.
Yeah, if I
All about
have workers there, I would like for them to do that work for me, damn it.
Yeah. And maybe that might be an interesting thing to come out of player-owned space stations, maybe. You know, I'm down for that. I would love that. I've always thought that Satisfactory and No Man's Sky needed a baby, and hopefully Hello Games can deliver that because it's such a great concept. And a lot of the building pieces, the building blocks for it are there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be an incredible feature to add to the game. I do got to go. Thanks again.
Thanks for stopping by.
And,
don't be a stranger, friend.
Thank you, the LZ crew, for allowing me to come by here and have a
See you
chat.
later, Walrus. Good talking,
Hey.
man.
Hey, no problem, Ivy Mike, and freaking brilliant idea on common starting areas because that would encourage people to go out and explore as opposed to try to converge.
You got to stop being so on point with those needs,
that was
right?
Good. That was good.
Honestly, I see a lot of folks putting out some ideas, and a lot of them are just like, "Oh, pretty cool," or "Man, that's kind of weak. Why would you want them to waste time on that?" But then Mike's always bringing the hotness, so
yeah,
good stuff. Thank you for stopping by, Mr. Walrus. Always good to have you. So
All
I
right,
want to
thanks again. You have a good one.
I want to do a quick station identification, so to speak, and this has been a very long, awesome conversation so far. We're about 3/4 of the way through the show. I want to shout out ER Burrows. Ivy Mike is still in the chat there. John Hall, Yalcha Raven, Hekmar Jayam. I hope I said that right. KJ PC Gaming's in the house. Always good to have her. She's got some great permadeath content that she uploads. Kyle Culver is in with us. The great legendary Kyle Culver. Also with us there. Sleek Stratos. Peaceful Gamer still hanging out. Skylafine is also with us. Good to see you. A Generic. A lot of excellent folks. We have 123 people watching us on YouTube right now. Sith921, I also see you there. Thank you so much. So I want to get into the trailer now that we've got the moment to sort of break that down. And I know that this has been broken down to death. There is almost nothing new in this trailer that wasn't there before, right? There's definitely some detail work. Walk me through it, everyone. I'm going to bring one more in with us today. I'm going to bring in William McPherson. Let's see. Why am I not able to drag this one up? Hang on. Size concerns there. William, I got you on the LZ. How you doing? Let me try one more time.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
There you are, Williams. I don't know if I wrong buttoned it or there, but good to see you.
Oh, no, I think I pressed connect to voice because this is my first time, actually, that I've been on your little chat thing here, so I may have messed up.
No, cool. As a matter of fact, I do this with Cobra, right? I will join through mobile, and I will be on the mobile platform. He'll bring me in, and then he's just like, Legacy 0, and I'm like, what's going on here? I can't unmute myself. So yeah, I'm definitely don't like using the mobile platform. So let's talk through the trailer, right? While we got it. What are our thoughts, right, when it comes to this trailer, tell me how's everybody feel? What are we looking at here?
I don't know. It's I would have to say my personal opinion. I feel like it'd be a freighter, like a total overhaul of a freighter, because like if you look at like the interior, you can see like many landing platforms like how they have in like a freighter.
Okay.
Like I don't know, like just like if you look, I don't have like a picture of like a freighter in front of me, so I can't like exactly like see or like remember like how it looks, but like it just sort of like resembles like a freighter, sort of like if you like like those like little orange glowy things.
Mm-hmm.
I know like it kind of resembles sort of like the same idea of like the shape, if that makes any sense.
Interesting. So when we talk about freighters, actually, if I wanted it to be anything, I do want it to be freighters, or space stations, right? Because as it is now, they're sort of not as imagined. They're a little crampy, right? Those things. So I almost want to see them just sort of open up these spaces. But to some of those points, I want to kind of run through what some of the creators had said in the last couple of days about what they saw. MZK reported today that he thinks it's actually at the center, right? It's sort of what the goal is at the center. What does everybody think? If this was the center, like what could that mean for this location?
I don't think they would release what the center would look like. I mean, that'd be cool and all, but like I feel like the center has to be something where what nobody's expecting, nobody's ever seen something, before, you know what I mean? I don't know what it would be, but I don't think that they would release.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait, I gotta mute the video. My bad. I didn't. I just looked at the chat and they're like, mute the video, and I forgot it had sound.
Oh.
All right, there we go. Sorry, everybody. My bad. Go ahead. So you're saying you don't think they would give away such an important aspect of the game, just sort of willy nilly like this, right?
Yeah, like they can't. They can't do they can't do that.
That would be kind of a weird 3-year build-up, 5-year build-up. All of a sudden, they just show them in a 4-second trailer. Here's what the center looks like, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like, wait a minute, this looks familiar.
So LZ, if I can take a stab at it.
Sure.
Now I answered your little questionnaire that you posted on what we thought the trailer, what they were showing, and then I also mentioned this in Cobra's subcast too, but it was toward the end of his podcast or his subcast. The colors inside this building or inside this room, they're very reminiscent. They look very similar to the same coloring scheme that we find in the Quicksilver Merchant's room on the Anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
They use that same tone, that same color palette
for the Anomaly. You're saying.
For the Anomaly.
Okay.
What I think that we're looking at right now is not necessarily inside the Anomaly, but I think we're looking at a galactic trade station, like where people can come, they can access those terminals, they can upload their goods to the auction site, and they can walk away and go play their game while other players can purchase from them.
Oh.
That's what I think this is. Because if we were to set up a trade terminal on our outpost for people to buy from us, how difficult would it be for people to come to your station or to your outpost and strictly buy from you versus landing on a trade station or a galactic trade hub where they can access any terminal that is universally linked amongst all players.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And I think that hole that's in the center there, if it were space, it would be black.
I was going to bring that up because L-Plays did a video too, and he seems to think that this is on a planetary surface.
I do too.
Because
and I think what we're looking at is the lighting from the sun, depending on where it's at in the sky, and that's why it's so bright.
Oh, yeah. Or it's at least daylight outside, like full sun in the noon o'clock or whatever, right?
Right.
Good point. I like that too.
If you look at that cube, it's the cube is kind of funny. It's randomly generating characters on all eight sides. Was it eight sides of the cube, right? Is that right? I failed geometry, dude. Sorry.
Fair enough. Me too. Yeah.
But it almost looks like the characters that are scrolling across that holographic image is like something you could see on like a stock market. Just
the big cube, right?
Characters. Yeah, the big cube.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's my speculation, because if we're
Could it be like a
multi-
reimagining or like a re?
if we're looking at multiplayer online, and we're looking at ways that players can play together, a player economy, well, it's definitely something I've wanted for a long time, and it kind of just falls right into place with what they're trying to with what I think they're trying to shoot for with the release of Beyond, as far as getting players to play together.
Mm-hmm.
A player economy would be awesome, and I think Quicksilver. I just think Quicksilver is going to be the player currency. I could be wrong.
I agree. I think this is going to be a hub for community. My hope is that, that something like the boundary failure circular things become active, and you can shoot through and warp into this space from any of the anomalous planets that have those boundary failures, and it brings you out of the universe. This place is not in a universe; it's outside the universe. So you can come here, you break through the boundary, and there's 15 other people there waiting for you, just they're there too, or there's always people coming and going in and out of these places from anywhere in the galaxy. So now you can come together, you can meet together, and you could leave together if you want to go do missions together, or and I think that would kind of make sense. You could come here and trade, but you don't have to necessarily go to someone else's planet or go to someone else particular.
Definitely.
Right.
I like it.
Well, the other thing too is, when you look at like MMOs and you look at auction houses, players typically offload this stuff because their inventory is packed tight. I am notorious for hoarding resources.
Same, yeah.
I'm into base building and everything else, and everything has value. But I think if we're going to start grouping together as players, if we're going to start questing together, and we're going to start amassing loot, then we're going to need a place to either dump that off or sell it to somebody else who might need it.
Okay, good point. So it's definitely, it's got to be a meeting point, right? I mean, I feel like we all agree on that. Yes, as far as
yeah,
it it is definitely.
Yeah, it was originally announced with the online announcement. Well, even though it was empty on the first trailer, but that was what it was announced with. It definitely has to do with the online component.
I would say the only thing that gives it a vibe of space station is sort of the structures on the outside walls there. Those orange sort of, they kind of resemble sort of what the infrastructure of the inside tunnels of the space station look like. I'm almost wondering if they were just trying to sort of keep that aesthetic going for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, going on to, I think it was in your video that you said it in, where when they released like the first trailer, that of course, like they didn't have like everything in there, and like they wouldn't like, I don't think they would have like released like an unfinished, like whatever that is. So like I'm wondering, like maybe they didn't purposely show everything until like when it came later to show it.
Them purposely not telling us things? That's shocking. Here we are. We are definitely a week away, and we know nothing, next to nothing about this, other than just sort of the center pillars of. I mean, I don't even want to say that because we don't even know what Pillar 3 is, right? But shockingly, I posted this to the community page, and I love doing these. I try to do one of these at least once a day, just to sort of get people talking. I do enjoy how weirdly this is sort of shoved into people's faces when I post these, some of which are not even subscribers of mine. So I enjoy I do enjoy the post that I get. Like, I don't even know who you are. But that's a good post. That's a good post. But this one, I wanted to cover this because it got so many so many responses to it when I asked, what do we think this building is? This was shortly after the new trailer dropped. So a couple of these items, Death Star plans, the Gek are making a third one. That I feel like this is an episode strictly for L plays. I think he would enjoy this one. Player mission selector, ship customizer or something. Hashtag space whales. I don't think you're supposed to put spaces in your hashtag there, my man. Absolutely player involved, maybe even built. So I'm seeing a lot of suggestions that this could be a place that is customizable or buildable. The Cobra TV subcast talked a lot about that too. But LZ or Peaceful Gamer says he DM'd me his freighter analysis. I think I saw that or something to that. I did actually see that. That's very true. He had brought up some things that I don't even remember. Not that I've looked too closely at certain freighters, but that's a good point that we bring that up too while we have it. But let's see. What else do we have here? I think that it's a diplomatic terminal, so you can talk to other groups of players and trade stuff. Dark Jedi 68 says it's nothing. I mean, he's got us there. It could be nothing. I don't know.
Just for looks.
I'm kind of hoping that he has a little more hope for it, because I certainly do. I think it's a ship customizer hologram. I think they're more focusing on what the big holo cube is, but hologram terminal that gives missions to players enjoying online multiplayer. That would be pretty cool. Like, I would love to see what a full, robust mission structure would look like in No Man's Sky. That'd be pretty neat. Being just the entrance is hard to tell. How do I know it's just the entrance? I think we're feeling pretty good about it being the entrance, yeah, specifically because there's a ship facing directly towards it, and commonly in No Man's Sky, your ship is always sort of auto-turned, right? Is that good speculation?
It's either facing outside or it's a portal. Either way, yeah, it's an entrance for sure.
I feel like Component 3 is being able to let me out of my ship before it turns for convenience sake. I feel like that's aiming too low.
No, this is actually what I'm thinking. It came to mind. Now, like, if it's kind of like an entrance area or whatever to some place, like if we go through like that whole, bring us to whatever. I'm wondering if it's like some sort of like lobby area. So like if we can like customize like our ships and like maybe like somehow like create like a class or something like that.
So like
maybe we can
sort of like a staging area. What's a game to compare it to? I feel like there's a game that I can compare this to. It's sort of like PUBG. In a way, where you're just sort of, or like Fortnite, when you're. This is probably a bad example to use, because I don't think we're getting battle royale in No Man's Sky, even though I would laugh my ass right off if it happened. Because boy, that would be an interesting discussion to have after that announcement. Wait a minute now. Let Hello Games have their time to try to show us what a No Man's Sky battle royale would look like. I see you, Martin Requiem. Thank you so much for stopping by. But so like a
LZ,
staging area, yeah.
LZ, question. Do you, if we think that this is a place that you can get to in current game, do you think that online is going to be a separate game mode or accessible with our current characters? That I think is the big question.
I think, and we had BW on here a moment ago, and he's always sort of been sort of the full idea that anything full online should be a separate mode, and he mentioned things like economies and whatnot. I don't think it needs to be a separate mode unless there's a core PvP mechanic. For a lot of reasons, PvP specifically, I would say, because, I mean, you've got things like what upgrades you have. I mean, Snow Obsidian ruled the entire Euclid Galaxy for the Thunderdome for like a full year or more, right? And it was just dethroned. But to that extent, it's like, I almost wonder if there is a sort of a PvP or PvP option towards this grander scale of whatever No Man's Sky Online needs to be. I think it should be a separate mode.
Well, LZ, with that being said, I hate to use this as a comparison because I don't think I like Fallout 76. I don't know if everybody else does, but in Fallout 76,
I don't hate it.
Yeah, you can actually after you reach level 5, I think it is, you can turn PvP off.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to have a different mode, but you should give the player the option to either participate or not participate in PvP.
Mm-hmm.
You know how GTA 5 has passive mode?
Does it?
Maybe something like that. Yeah.
I
You
played
can
some
put it in
PvP.
passive mode.
I played some online for it, but mostly I'm just doing the heists when I play. 'Cause that's super fun. But Peaceful Gamer says the whole game can just be an MMO and retaking the option to opt out. I think that's worth repeating, right? And because we generally, when we talk about online and online interactions, generally there's that group of folks that speak up and just like, I don't want that in this game. And generally, they give some good reasons why they don't desire that kind of mode. But
yeah, like
So
I don't want No Man's Sky to be like this all out like brawl, like fight, like type thing. Like I still want it to be like, if I want to do it, yes. But if I don't want to do it, like maybe there's some days where I want to go out and I want to meet up with friends and we want to do this faction war or something. And then maybe there's like other days where it's just like, well, I would just want to go to explore. I want to go find this. I want to go find that. I just want there to be a sense of mystery. You know what I mean? And
I
feel
saw
like
somebody
that
bring
was-
up Elite Dangerous in the chat earlier, and I think that's worth repeating too, because if I remember correctly, it's been a minute since I've played Elite Dangerous, because I know they give you an option to join their shared universe, and then there's the option to not share it at all, and it's just a singular play. That would probably be required, right? Is that are we saying at this point that we really want the option to opt out?
I think that would be fair because I don't think everybody likes the idea of PvP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for that, I think like it would be, and you should just fly away, and go. The universe is big enough that you don't have to go where the other people are.
Right.
That is
well, and I was
true.
thinking, I was thinking that too. I mean, it is a massive universe out there. I mean, planets upon planets upon planets. But at the same time, if you're like my current save file that I have right now is in Coda Hub, and it's congested. I mean, there's not that it's a bad thing. There's just a lot of people in that area that have put up bases and everything. So every time I pop in, there's always somebody on in my area, or in the area, and I think that's cool. But then, I would have to leave that area altogether if I didn't want to be bothered with PvP. Because there are people that are in Coda that I think do enjoy PvP. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think it would be better to have a feature to flag that either on or off than it would be to rely on the vastness of the game to get away. Because I mean, you could probably jump to warp and then the person that was griefing you or trying to kill you or whatever wouldn't have any idea where you went to. But at the same time, that it's kind of it breaks your immersion, I guess, a little bit, right? It disrupts what you're currently doing, whether it's taking photos or building a base or just enjoying the scenery and exploring.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, griefing is definitely something I would not want to see in No Man's Sky for sure. I think as much as I would love to see Hello Games take a shot at PvP or some kind of a PvP, but then again, like full-on PvP, I think it should just be its own mode in general, right? And I don't even think it needs to share the entire universe. I think it would really serve as just its own little segregated mini mode of things, right? And then, of course, you've got... oh, hey, by the way, Snow Obsidian's with us. I added him about 5 minutes ago.
Like Elite Dangerous with its own arena mode with close quarter combat.
Is that new? I haven't played it in feels like 2 years now or more.
I played it recently. They have this separate mode where it's a close quarter combat fight arena thing, team deathmatch, and all those fun things.
Elite Dangerous is pretty cool. Definitely pretty cool.
It is cool.
I love it. It's definitely not arcadey like No Man's Sky, so it takes some time to sort of
the learning curve is huge in that game.
Yeah, it's got quite a learning curve for sure. Peaceful Gamer had sent me tweets that he had made. I'd seen these, I think it was yesterday that they put these out, where he sort of does this analysis of current freighters, and he talks about some of the openings and sort of I was just doing some investigating my freighter, and look at this. There's this whole massive section that the rear doors face but can't connect or don't connect to the structure. Seems odd to have doors there at all. Even the shape of it seems similar to the inside of the teaser image, and as you can see here, they just sort of. Because, anytime you go into a freighter and you land on a freighter, there's always those backside doors that are there, but they don't open.
Yeah, you're right.
I never thought about.
Good observation.
I always wondered about these doors when I'm in the freighter, but I never thought to go out to the back of the of the freighter and be like, where do those doors lead?
Now, isn't there like another like room in like the space anomalies where like we can't go in?
Yeah, that was the whatchamacallit, the
Yeah, that was solved with
yeah.
Next. Yeah, so that's the Quicksilver bot, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Quicksilver
I guess I never
synthesis
went
bot.
in there before. I don't think.
He's got a name. I know he does. I forget it. If does he have a name, I forget.
It's just Polo's Quicksilver synthesis bot.
The synthesis bot. Yeah, there you go. So I had one more topic that I want to talk about tonight before we close up the show, and I wanted to get your gentlemen's thoughts on this.
Hey, LZ.
Yes.
But before we move any further, can I ask you guys a question? Because I just want your guys' opinion.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about PvP being its own game mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With multiplayer online, right? Do you think that they're going to keep normal mode, creative mode, survival mode, permadeath mode? I mean, what's the point of having permadeath if it's online? As soon as that character dies, it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good
awesome.
point. That's a very good point because we're getting
Matt,
to be.
You would have to have so much more respect for other people's lives if you're in a permadeath server.
I don't know. Have you ever played DayZ? Like that is permadeath, at least for your current character, and there is absolutely no empathy for other people's lives in that game. I know Semtex plays it a lot. He's big on DayZ.
He does.
And I played DayZ before it became its own standalone version, and nobody wanted to play together. I swear, I would go up and be like, on the mic and be like, friendly, I want to play. Let's go explore and survive together. And then just shot in the face. No questions.
Well, it just made me wonder if you think that they're going to revamp those different. Are they just going to leave them? Are they going to redefine the game mode when multiplayer online comes out? I don't know. That's
an interesting point for sure. Like I've always wondered about that, and they didn't touch those modes for Next. Essentially, like they stayed.
Right.
But and I know there's a lot of folks that enjoy. They enjoy creative. Like the footage that you see that you've been looking at all night for No Man's Sky is creative on PC. Just because I like to give y'all pretty stuff to look at. What's up, Jason Barrett? I see you there. Thanks for joining the LZ for the cast. Good to have you. With that, I mean, what could they with No Man's Sky Online? We're talking about splitting up a player base sort of on a mode-to-mode basis. Are they really going to make it its own mode based on that? Because I almost feel like that's the case that you would make for it now. That you would have to have a separate mode that has sort of more of a between a normal and a survival type thing, just to keep everybody together for whatever No Man's Sky Online is supposed to be.
Yeah, if it is a separate mode, I think it'll be its own mode. So you'll have normal, permadeath, creative, survival, online, and that will be one of the options if they do a separate mode. That's the question.
I mean, this is the only game I've ever played that has had as many different games to log into. Yeah. It's just really weird.
That's the thing, because like I kind of feel like if they add in like online as like another separate game mode, I just feel like it's just gonna be too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like they should do like a like an online and like a permadeath online or something. I don't know if that'd be like too crazy to do.
It is definitely going to have things spread pretty thin, right? Because just like with every update, we're going to see a pretty sizable resurgence of community play, right? There's going to be a lot more players. those players generally always increase with the new, especially with VR, right? I mean, we've already got like what, 1 million No Man's Sky players that own PSVR, I think they said, which is it's a huge player base, right? So I mean, those of you that have No Man's Sky and VR, the value has been there sort of retroactively. But yeah, I think a separate mode is sort of, it's I almost adding one more mode versus having everybody spread out over 4 modes. It seems kind of necessary.
Well, and with PvP too, right? Like, if you take the console controller versus precision is quite a bit different. So how about for players who are playing in VR with control? I would say that their precision is probably more accurate than a controller too.
Oh, the good old mouse and keyboard versus controller. Yeah, definitely that's a thing. I know Call of Duty is looking pretty interesting, and that's full crossplay. And a lot of the COD commentators, like your Drifter and T. Martin and those folks, are saying that it's not an issue, which kind of shocks me. Because I would think something like that is absolutely an issue. Like when I play a game on PC, like a competitive shooter, I feel like I've got laser beams that are just like, I'm so accurate with it versus a controller where things are like, I'll play Destiny. I've been playing Destiny with Just Jared, and just sort of trying to dive into that game, which is not going that great. But I feel like with the 30 frames per second cap, the cumbersome controls because of the frame rate, it is definitely different. So I'm kind of struggling with the idea of playing against PC players on any game, really. It's including No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
You guys know what No Man's Sky needs?
Let's hear it.
Another set of trophies.
Trophies? Does it? Wait. Does it
Yeah,
have?
trophies.
The only trophies that were added were 5 trophies with the Pathfinder update. That's it.
Oh, so you're talking Sony
That's the only
trophies in
extra
general,
trophies.
achievements. Got it. Okay. I was like, it's kind
They
of got
need to
trophies
add
like
more.
in the game and like that you get for accomplishing things, but then that would be really nice for them to add. I have deliberately sort of kept the platinum on the back burner just because I don't find a reason to go to the center of the universe, right, or the center of the galaxy. I don't find it attractive yet, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that's something that they address coming up, because I desperately want a reason to move that direction. I want a reason to just go somewhere that isn't just go in that direction or go visit this hub, right? So I mean, I think I'm with you there. I think it definitely would be necessary.
Yeah, I haven't played No Man's Sky since like the latest update came out, and that's because like I don't like, it's fun and all, but like I don't feel like there's like a reason to play, if you know what I mean. Like there's no like set end goal.
For sure.
Like the center in this case would be the end goal. But there's really nothing at the center right now.
You would definitely have to. You would definitely have to make your own goals. Like that's a stated thing, if anything. But I'm with you there. I'm really digging the hope that I have that they finally add something like that. And it took Minecraft even like years to add its own end goal, right? With the end dragon and stuff like that. So I mean, it's possible, and it's definitely optional. So I think a game like No Man's Sky could absolutely do it too. But so I want to cover one. I want to cover one last topic before we close up tonight, and I kind of want to get your gentlemen's perspective on this. This showed up on my Twitter feed today, an article from VG247, and it showed up. It was sort of tweeted to me, talking about VG247's comparison with Outer Worlds, which is a game I have not played, full disclosure. I'm aware of it. I know what it is. I just have not had the time to dive into it. But the title of the article says...
I didn't know it's released yet.
Yeah, it's definitely... I think it's out. I'm pretty sure it's out.
I think it's in beta or just releasing, and I think they're just trying to ride the No Man's Sky hype wave and put it in the title.
Definitely. Oh, so for the article, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. So it says Outer Worlds solar system only highlights the shallowness of No Man's Sky's infinite universe. So I'm trying to grasp sort of what the purpose of this article was, because we know, and here's the thing: I've been critical in the past of content creators that have done this. This irritates the living shit out of me when people do this. I read the article, and I don't disagree with sort of what they're saying. I think it's a moot point. But here's my problem with an article like this. And to go on the short of it, it talks about how Outer Worlds' idea of a more limited scope of sort of kind of what No Man's Sky does sort of shows why a game that is so huge and gigantic like No Man's Sky is sort of unnecessary and can be boring, which to me is gigantically subjective. But here's the thing. I always question, and I don't understand why this is always a thing, why content creators, media sites generally like to pump this stuff out days before a mega update drops. Am I being unrealistic? Am I being unreasonable by being irritated by that particular notion that let's talk about No Man's Sky and how much we don't like it or how much it's not our game before a gigantic update drops?
So, like, no, I don't think you're being unrealistic. Actually, it bothers the shit out of me too. I've already started seeing videos kind of creeping into YouTube on people giving negative feedback or on side, and all that crap is coming back into play again. And when I see that in the title, I automatically block that individual, and I stay away from like that typically, just because it sets. I think they're trying to be edgy. I think they're trying to be controversial. I definitely think that they're hateful. And you can't even compare Outer Worlds to No Man's Sky other than the fact that they're both science fiction games, because I think the developer Outer Worlds, same developer that did New Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that
I forget who it is. They got some there. It's definitely a popular
Obsidian?
talked about game though, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's Obsidian. Yeah, you're right, Snow. But I think this was their attempt at New Vegas with 5 feet. That's and they're not even the same game. They're not even remotely comparable.
Now I want to make a clarification. This is Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds. I might have goofed and said Outer Worlds. This is Outer Wilds. Okay. Yes.
Outer Wilds. Gotcha.
So
Okay,
it's
I was gonna
essentially
say-
a smaller-ish No Man's Sky with smaller planets, one singular solar system of sorts. That's what I know of it so far. So forgive me for the confusion that Outer Wilds is different than Outer Worlds.
I had Outer Worlds in my head the whole time.
Fair
me
enough. And but here, depending on either way, it doesn't really. The argument is interchangeable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the outcome is still the same. We have. I mean, here's the thing.
It's a different game.
Minecraft has worlds that are evidently like 8 times the size of Earth. Do they need to be that big? Probably not. Can it? Sure. Like I can't imagine I would ever spend the time to walk from one side of a Minecraft world to the other, which would probably take years, right? Somebody absolutely took the time to circumnavigate planets in No Man's Sky. I know there was somebody who did that, the Pilgrim Star, way back in the day, right? Cobra, I think,
TV
did it. Cobra
too.
did it. Yeah, he did it live on a stream. What was that, like a charity stream or something like that he did that on?
Yeah.
So, folks got their. Why is it? Now, and this is, I mean, sure, these media, they got to get their clickbait out, which is fine. No Man's Sky, and just to my credit, I have been personally accused of clickbait. simply because I'm creating content for it. I generally like to believe and hope to believe that somebody will realistically call me out if I am utilizing a title that does not represent the content of the video. So I go out of my way to try to prevent that, right? It's rare. But even throughout the year, when No Man's Sky is not at the top of its conversational, it's not reaching a lot of discourse, right? It's not the primary point of conversation like it is now with Beyond being so close. I mean, February, March, my channel is still getting thousands of views. And weirdly, in the analytics, they're coming from Google. Like, people are Googling and finding my videos, not just through YouTube, but from Google itself, right? So it has a lot of search results. People are looking for this game. I know very little other than the basics about Outer Wilds. Strange. Interesting.
I know nothing on it.
You know,
I-
so
yeah,
I mean,
I've watched a few of the trailers, and I think I kind of grasp the concept of what Outer Wilds is trying to do. It's definitely open ended, but there is a beginning and an end, if that even makes sense. I think typically you're trying to piece together a story by talking to other NPCs that are in the scope of discovery on the planet that you're on. But once you finish the story arc, from what I understand, something happens and you wake up and you do it all over again. But I don't know.
so a
they're-
roguelike
they're-
of sorts.
Yeah, kind of. They're definitely two different monsters. They're apples and oranges.
Definitely.
I mean, so I don't understand what the journalist's motivations were, other than I think he was just, like I said, being controversial a little bit with his opening story there.
It's definitely, there's not a ton of relevance. I mean, it's definitely cloud chasing for sure. Now, I don't disagree with the notion that, and I've been critical of No Man's Sky before, right? Directly. When it comes to, you've got this major universe, you've got to be able to manage your sort of it's hard to manage the sort of minute-to-minute gameplay loop in a game like No Man's Sky, because they leave it to you to manage that. And it certainly can be done. It has been done. I've lost entire weekends to Minecraft. It's such a basic game because it was able to pull me along minute by minute. Like, even just, hey, go and dig and find diamonds, and you can build things with those diamonds, like super strong swords and armor and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go do that. But I mean, at the same time, No Man's Sky, I think, while I agree that No Man's Sky needs that minute-to-minute stuff, there's still a ton of people out there that play it regardless of that. And
Right.
I think, to my greater point, and I think this article definitely shows that, generally on the cusp of every major update, there has been a resurgence, and I did a tweet on Sunday, and I won't bother you with me going to look for it, but I will bring up sort of what it said. And was just sort of, I was feeling saucy that day, and my tweet basically said, if you're that content creator or streamer that has sort of slept on No Man's Sky for 3 years, you have hated on the game in the past, you've generated clicks based on the sort of cynical conversation around No Man's Sky, sort of unfairly, take a seat. Us current existing content creators will take it from here. And there were some that disagree with us, right? With me on that, because I mean, No Man's Sky getting more exposure, that's cool, right? To me, I would argue it's the bad faith exposure, right? For instance, there was a certain moderately large YouTuber outside of your regular creator verse that you know now, Cobra TV, myself, MZK, L Plays, you know, the usuals.
Just Jared.
Just Jared, right? Craze Gaming. Here's the point. No Man's Sky Next was not given to anybody early. Nobody got early access to that. Cobra didn't. I didn't. Now you're looking at somebody who got a review code for the game at launch from Sony directly that I don't remember asking for, actually. So that was a bonus there. But nobody got access to these updates early, right? These YouTubers especially did not. So leading up to updates like Atlas Rises or Next, here come these pieces, right? Is No Man's Sky a good game? Is it worth it to play now? This is before the update, not after, right? And I think this is why this sort of our community gets kind of up in arms about this stuff, right? Because, okay, you know what? I personally can let you have your criticism about No Man's Sky. But if you're doing a No Man's Sky 1 year or 2 years later, before the next gigantic patch, and some of them even going so far as not even to mention that another update is coming, what good is that serving? Why are you leaving that out? Have we seen this in action? Have y'all seen this in action before? Tell me it is not just me.
Again,
it's super annoying.
It is. It is really annoying, and I try to stay away from that. You know, I don't understand. Like, I get it. People have their own ideas, their own opinions about things, and they're allowed to express them. But I'm with you. What's the significance behind it? Are you trying to detour popularity to the game? Are you trying to keep people from experiencing it on their own? I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think people have the intelligence to make up their own minds versus reading a review. I kind of stay away from reviews. Reviews are just nothing more than one person's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm listening to it because I want to be entertained, or I just am kind of, curious what they have to say, but it's not going to persuade my decision one way or the other, then so be it. Then I may listen to it. That's why I watch the YouTube channels, is because I enjoy listening to the content and what the community has to say. But when it comes to like the toxicity behind some of these journalists, what's the point? What are they getting out of it?
So this is kind of an advisory, just to make sure that we all are clear, right? The conversation always ramps up about No Man's Sky, right? It always talks about the launch. It always talks about, and this is what, and you're gonna see your Clean Prince Gamings and your more prominent tubers that are just doing that cycle, right? It's gonna happen every time. You know, the No Man's Sky didn't die; it was murdered, right? And it's always going to be about that. So those of you that are watching that are newer to No Man's Sky, especially our Xbox folks, that's going to be something that you're going to see, right? You're going to see these channels talking about No Man's Sky very much in the past tense, which to a degree bears repeating to. If you have some kind of principle that is just like, this launch for whatever reason was this or that, it is the past because that's exactly what happened, right? The past happened. That's fact, right? The difference is where we are from now. There's a lot of sometimes disingenuous activity that around a launch of a new update will happen a lot. Superstick Media, I didn't want to say his name, but I mean, fair enough. Like I'm not trying to create waves, but I am trying to say that you will see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of articles like this one. You'll see YouTube videos popping up in your feed almost always, right? Because you're probably constantly searching No Man's Sky. Or because you're watching Cobra, or you're watching me, or you're watching Craze. YouTube is going to start pushing this stuff. And you're going to see this, right? And
don't click. Don't feed the beast.
And even if you do, right? Which is, it's fine. I'm not telling you who to and how to watch. I don't want to make that suggestion. That is not a position that I have. However, I think it bears mentioning that a lot of the conversation on YouTube for No Man's Sky is always very cynical still. And I mean, and this goes to sort of the happenings of the last week, right? A prominent member of the No Man's Sky sphere was temporarily banned from Twitter. So hopefully to see you back really soon, Mr. Ray Reynolds. I didn't see you in the chat tonight, but I'm sorry if I missed you. Excellent, dude. At the end of the day, I think I just don't want all of us to take that stuff personally, and I don't want us to be wound up by those things, because here's one thing that's happened every single time. Those conversations fade away. They get their clicks. And then we are left enjoying the game with a grown user base. Steam reflects that grown user base. That grown user base. It also reflects the gradual and sort of the fulfilling change that No Man's Sky has gone through in its own user reviews. To me, I hate user reviews because you get review bombs and things like that. That's the reverse of what happened to No Man's Sky. So objectively, the collective player base of No Man's Sky agrees and this is the sort of framing that I'm putting in this story, is that No Man's Sky has become an overwhelmingly positive game. So when you see these, here's what I meant, and I kind of wanted to address that tweet as part of the story too, because you always have the option, and there might be people who I would have wagered that many of the folks who are here in the chat are No Man's Sky players. Maybe they haven't played for a while, right? They probably still own the game. I don't think. I mean, and of course, tell me in the chat if you own or if you don't own No Man's Sky. You're just kind of here checking it out. Welcome, right? And any of us are happy to help you and get you along, helping to understand No Man's Sky history or current, whichever. But that's kind of what we're here for, right? They definitely use the same hater talking points. It is definitely the same year over year. The conversation doesn't change with them. And that was my message to them, too. When you see these folks on Twitter, or you see these people who are creating these videos, because last year I would go in on somebody on Twitter, especially if they were a creator or like a YouTuber, or they were a YouTuber, like put out a tweet like, I just uploaded this video and No Man's Sky is still haunted and plagued by a terrible past of lies and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, it's been 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, when that kind of stuff comes up on Twitter or it comes up on YouTube, number one, YouTube, I don't even give them a view. I just immediately block that channel because I feel like I'm doing all that I can not to give them the attention that they're looking for. And I do the same thing on Twitter. If I start seeing negative reviews and stuff, I just immediately block them because I don't want to listen to them. I want to hear it. I always kind of look at things like negativity doesn't do anything more than just breed negativity. You know, nothing good can come out of that. And if there's a game that I'm passionate about or that I like and I really enjoy playing, I don't need to listen to somebody else's hate when it comes to their own opinion regarding the game.
Now, to your point, I know in this, to your point, it's true. It's not worth the negativity, but it's not, as somebody that likes to get fired up a lot, especially on Twitter, right?
Right.
It is not worth buying into that negativity too. Because here's one thing I have found, especially on Twitter, right, is that a lot of folks aren't interested in the good faith conversation that will help them sway or believe something one way or another. That's unfortunately not why they're there. There's a lot of peddling of YouTube or Twitter talking points, right? And that they believe something so strongly that it becomes them, which is unfortunate. And I've seen a couple of people catch the brunt of that here in the community, thankfully, temporarily. But I really want to see. I would like to see a more positive launch for Beyond for everybody. Even though there's probably going to be some negativity. There's way to its credit, to our credit, and to the game's credit, there is much less of that. Because I think Sean and company have done a hell of a good job of pulling this game into a place where it just commands a better respect now. And I think we did a good job of kind of sticking with it, right? We could have, as much as we like to say that they could have moved on, taken our money, and then packed up and left and be on a beach drinking an umbrella drink somewhere, we just the same could have gone anywhere too, right? There's tons of great games that have come out since No Man's Sky has, right? A Far Cry 5. I play a lot of Far Cry 5. The map editor is brilliant, right? Dreams. I see a lot of folks playing Dreams now, right? That's fun. I'm trying to find time to get in and get into that, right? A lot of folks making No Man's Sky related stuff. It's constantly in my feed for Dreams. It's impressive. Somebody made I forget who it was, but like they made a portal and a knowledge stone and stuff like that. That was pretty tight. I'm not even gonna lie. But just be aware. And I care for y'all, and I care for your positions and your sanity. And I don't want to see y'all, any of you in the chat here on the call. I don't want to see that affect you. Because it has affected me before, and I think it's ruined relationships before that I had to, unfortunately, people that were not. That really didn't think well of me at that point, that I had to sort of build bridges for, and one of them was on the call tonight, right? That it's just like, man, God, was I a fucking teenager then? Like, I'm gonna have to fix this, and so I did a lot of work to make that happen too. So I don't want that personally. I don't want to see any of us here sort of fall to that, right? Because this is an overwhelmingly positive community. It's overwhelmingly positive game. Regardless of whatever the discourse for No Man's Sky has been, it's always stayed the same with us, and we love it. We're always encouraging, and even though we're sort of blue balls frustrated for information a lot this year, particularly, it's been worth it. It's been worth it every time, honestly. I can't think of a time that they have dropped something in our lap surprising that I haven't been ungodly excited for. I mean, Next was every single trailer for a new thing has just been mind-blowingly pleasing to me. So I think for consistency and history's sake, they are probably going to do that again. The build-up has been damaging to my to my patience, but I also know what the end of the road looks like too. So,
well, I think it's just due because we love the game so much that we're just naturally excited, for what's to come. It's like a kid at Christmas time that hasn't been able to open it yet. It's like, you just can't wait. But no, I agree, man. I agree. Stay away from the negativity, most definitely.
It isn't worth it.
Definitely. I got friends that I talk to about this game, and they're just like, they look at me like I'm the devil when I talk about it. It's just like, really? It's like they're just still so full of like that negativity, like you guys were saying, that we don't need any of that. It's just like the past is the past. You know what I mean? And it's like they don't want to accept how, like, they don't care that No Man's Sky has changed, or like they don't care.
Well, Angry Joe said it was bad, so it's bad.
Angry Joe says everything is bad. It's kind of a shtick, though, isn't it?
My brother, who I wish would play this game and be able to group up with me and whatnot, is not a fan. He doesn't hate it. He's not a fan. But there's like, I don't know, there's a maturity level, I think, right, when it comes to people who want to hate just to hate, because if someone is enjoying something, you should be glad that person has got something that they can sink their time into. My brother, I talk to him And he's like, well, I'm glad you like it, brother. You know, I'm
Yeah.
glad you got an expansion that's coming out for it, you know. And that's the right thing, right? Because you should want somebody to be, you know, happy that they've got something that they can entertain themselves with. There's nothing wrong with it. Just because it's not your shtick or your niche, you know, doesn't mean you have to be a jerk about it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Let people love things. And let people hate things too, I guess. I also saw Stripes is in the chat too. Brought up a good point, and I can't believe I haven't thought about this until now. Physical copies have got to be coming soon. Hitting retail sort of storage shelves somewhere. Good point there. Like I keep forgetting about the physical copies. Those have got to be. I would imagine we're going to probably start seeing them. I'm that's kind of why I'm hoping we get that trailer soon, because I would rather see the trailer first than somebody leak gameplay for it.
Yeah,
I'm
when I was in
hoping
the
when
waiting
they
room-
release the game, it's just this, you know, it's next on the disc. So if anyone does get it, there's nothing on it that's new until the day of the release, and then there's the update.
Mm-hmm.
earlier
Yeah.
I
when
think
was,
they learned from the Xbox leak with Next. You know, would we have it 2 or 3 days before there was the leaked videos of that guy that was playing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. If they go down that road, and that is how they release it, will that next copy have VR gameplay?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would kind of
Yeah.
have to be. Like, I would imagine it's going to be on
Well,
the disc.
Oh no, the VR no, it wouldn't have to have VR in Next.
But didn't
So
Next
what they're-
have Next on the disc for Xbox when it launched?
Well, just
Yeah.
because it was for Xbox, it was a new console.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna play devil's advocate for a second. So you're in essence thinking that they're going to release a new disc copy with only Next on it.
For PS4. Yes.
So they're
Maybe.
gonna buy something. They're gonna buy something that is already out in the store right now. Are you
With
Oh, yeah.
essentially,
Yeah,
with
the-
essentially
yeah,
different
yeah.
packaging too. We got to remember it's going to be
With different package.
packaging.
It's just
Yeah.
a different package. That's
Mhm.
all it is. Then they put it in. The update is going to automatically download, and they have Beyond just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay,
just a new
what I don't get,
face.
like, are they gonna do this for every big update that comes out?
Well, no, and the only reason they did it for the Xbox and they're doing it now is because, well, for one, it's for Xbox now, so it bared having a release. But then we had this version with No Man's Sky on PS4 that does not have PS4 or PSVR verbiage on it, right? So commonly when you have games that are VR compatible on PS4, it generally has a stripe at the top that says ready for or PSVR ready or PSVR compatible or requires PSVR or something like that. I just know that it's packaging specific to VR. Not well specific is it I wouldn't want to say specific more than it has VR verbiage
It
on it.
contains it.
Yeah. And then Peaceful Gamer brings up too that we're looking at possible PSVR bundles as well. Like, and I'm thinking, why would they not do that?
Yeah.
That would be an excellent little pack-in for VR for sure. Because VR is
way
like
to
what,
also
$250
advertise No Man's
now?
Sky.
I think it is. It's gotten pretty cheaper.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't picked up VR yet. I've yet to own a VR headset, so I hope they do, because if they do, I'll buy the bundle in Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be able
I
to
totally
afford
do that.
VR. I don't know. I got to try to test VR first and make sure that my brain can handle it.
And legs.
You know,
And
VR
legs.
legs.
I've had a chance to experience it. I had a friend bring it over for about an hour or two, and I've never played it. I've never done VR prior to that, but I will tell you, it was a little awkward, kind of getting comfortable with it. After about an hour and a half wearing it, I started getting a little headachy, a little queasy. But it's probably because I'm not used to it. I think the more you use it, the more you build a tolerance to it. Maybe, But
I'm hoping.
it was
If I ever
cool.
decide to buy in, that's kind of my hope, because I don't want to drop $200-$300 on something that's just gonna make me feel like shit anytime I play with it. I'm kind of
ended up
afraid of
trying
that.
No, I ended up trying the Vive and the PSVR, and I actually kind of personally like the Vive better, because like the way that the PSVR set on my head, I don't know if it was like the way I put it on, but it didn't fit right. Like I could like sort of like kind of like see out the corners of my eyes. But like
Yeah.
when I wore like the Vive, I felt like I was there, like I was in the game.
Mhm.
Like when I was playing like the demo of it, but like I wasn't really as happy with the PS VR. So that's why I'm kind of like worried. Like I wanted to play No Man's Sky in VR so bad, but it's just like I don't know if I'm just going to be unhappy with it
I'm
if I
kind of
get it.
interested. Yeah, I'm with you there. So I think we should wrap it up for tonight, everybody. I this was a great night, great conversation. Probably by next we meet, we will probably know infinitely more than what we do now. So a couple of things. First off, if Stripes is still here, I kind of want to bring this back up. I saw you in the chat, and I still love this. Thank you so much for helping me out. Those who have donated, who have bought shirts and things like that. Sexy right there. That's fantastic. I love the smoldering intensity. And I thank you so much for supporting the LZ. I very, very, very much appreciate that. And I hope you like the shirts, too, for sure. So if I had to close things up with some final thoughts here, because, you kind of gotta. I'm for sure thinking that we probably will get a trailer by the weekend. I feel this.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel this.
Well,
I
maybe.
feel like we're a week away, and we still know so little about this update that it's about time they show us. And then I if I were Sean, since Friday is the anniversary and Friday's Friday, I would drop it on Friday and then just let everybody simmer. So of course, I would absolutely, for whatever drops, I would love to have an impromptu show that day, if it's something pretty significant. That is unless Cobra streaming, right? Because I believe that the viewers
6 p.m.
right
Eastern Standard Time each Friday.
Yeah, so I mean, I generally don't believe in splitting the viewership between two live subcasts when everybody should just be like right there on that one, right? All of us together. So it would be before or after, or even maybe just the next day. But there's a lot that's going to happen in the next week. So if anything, and I'm hoping this is the worst case scenario, that we don't get anything until like Tuesday, but you can damn well be sure that we're going to be talking about this game on Tuesday on the eve of Beyond's launch. And then, of course, I will be live with Beyond, streaming that live that Wednesday. So, of course, I'm not going to work that day. Who would? But of course,
I'm
I'll
off
be
that day, so perfect.
I'll be live with that. We'll probably do like a playcast or something where I'm playing the game, streaming, and we can all jump on. And especially for those that couldn't get off work, they're probably going to want to watch some No Man's Sky. So I would be happy to provide that footage for them while we're waiting. So while they go for it.
Do you think they're gonna reveal the third pillar inside the launch trailer? Do you think the launch trailer is going to show you what third pillar is?
That's a good point. You know what I think they might do? I think they'll kind of do what Next did. Because normally when they put out a trailer, it has the lady speaking about the new features, right? And it has sort of a breakdown of what's new. I don't remember. I don't think Next did that. Next didn't have the lady talking into that.
Next did the
No, I think she did.
the whole E3 trailer with the multiple flashes
Yeah.
of different
Yeah.
scenes.
Oh.
But the
wait,
the
the
beautiful
Next
part
trailer.
about Next is the Next trailer spoke for itself. Like you could pick apart that trailer for days because there was so much going on in it. The graphical fidelity was great. The everything was brighter. The clouds were freaking phenomenal. The travelers actually looked really good, which was something that had me scared at first. It's like, oh my gosh, we didn't even know about third person until that day, right?
Right.
That was crazy. Like that blew our minds. And so I think that's probably ultimately why they're holding all of this stuff from us until the trailer drops, just so we can all just be wowed by whatever is new. And I think Sean actually said that. So I think here's what I think is probably going to happen. They'll show the trailer. They'll let it speak for itself, like what Next did. And then they'll put out. I think they will talk about Component 3 separately. Probably this week. And then, of course, we'll probably get patch notes probably Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday. To give us time to sort of marinate with that. I don't know. When they wouldn't put out the patch notes on the same day, would they? They did that before, right?
I thought they did that with
Possibly.
Next, didn't they?
I think they did it the day after for Next.
It was
No. Patch notes were released the day before for Next. The trailer was like a week, but the patch notes I thought were a week, were the day before or the night before or something crazy.
Yeah, I could have swore one of those updates they dropped the patch notes like that day. I think it was like one of the earlier ones, like one of the first two, Pathfinder or Foundations.
Yeah, Foundations and Pathfinder both were the trailer, the patch notes, and it was all all at the same time.
Yeah, it's like thanks, jerk, for making us wait that whole time.
There was no Waiting Titan, no announcement, no communication at that point. That was just like all of a sudden you woke up one morning and there was a new patch in No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
It's like that's the thing with not having Waking Titan this time, because like when we had like Waking Titan next, like last time, we had a sense of idea of what was going to be in the game, but like now we like literally pretty much know nothing. Like we've seen images of like the frigates and stuff like that, and this time there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we like the Sean Murray made the statement that this game is supposed to be like larger than Next, more ambitious and larger in scale than Next, and we literally only have 4 seconds of teaser. It's like okay,
he shouldn't have even given us that at that point. Like, why bother? Like, just go in with nothing. We're good. Like, maybe the VR footage, I suppose, was probably nice to give to journalists for, those guys. Those Thought of Emerald, hello. Good to see ya. We were just about ready to close up shop, everybody. So, God, we're going to be here. It's coming, right? These days are going to just zip right by, right? You're going to go about your day at work. You go about your day caring about your family or children or mowing your grass. And then suddenly, before you know it, it's Monday. Before you know it, it's Tuesday. So it'll get here. We know this. We know how this stuff works. But for sure, we'll be live on Tuesday night, on the eve of Beyond, to sort of celebrate the coming of the new update. But I do plan on trying to be live. We'll probably more than likely be live on the day something big, significant happens. So look forward to that.
That's assuming that Cobra TV doesn't beat you to the whole live stream thing.
Yeah, I mean either way, and him and I typically coordinate. So I want to make sure that we touch base and just make sure, because we don't want our we don't want our podcast to overlap, because just like I said, I mean I've got 120 some people in here now, and I would much rather have those 123 on one show. And then what's cool is that if I'm going first, he's going after. We can just raid his channel, and then vice versa, right? So it's good that, I mean, we can upload stuff all day long, right? But it's always cool to have one place, and I believe in that. I believe in Cobra TV, and I believe in having the community be in one spot, this sort of lovely, tight-knit community that we have. So, but with that said, everybody, do please, if you could, subscribe and click the bell, because when we do that, when we go live, you're going to be able to see that happen whenever it happens, right? And more news from this place and everywhere else on YouTube for this game. It's going to be a hot week. I'm so excited. I can't wait. So good on everybody. Thank you, gentlemen, for stopping by. Thank you, Ivy Mike, for supporting the LZ, of course. And then, y'all be good. Be good to each other, and I can't wait to talk more about this when something blows up. Y'all be good, everybody. See y'all later.
See ya.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.